Welcome to my ugly hour. This is your host, Lavara Devichute. This is space where we walk through fear out loud, where we let go of perfection and step fully into presence, where we remember that we don't need to be polished to be perfect. We just need to be here. In this episode, I'm diving into a topic that lives very deep into the bones of many women, and that is trust. Trust among women, trust in ourselves, and the painful story of how that trust was broken. I will explore how this rupture didn't start with us, and it started generations ago through trauma, cultural suppression, and the painful legacy of betrayal, silence, and survival. I will talk at how this history lives in my body, in our bodies. It lives in our beliefs, in our behavior, our thoughts, our stories in our head, and in our lives. And how through presence and a choice, we can begin to change that story. Because what shapes us most isn't just our genetics, it's the environment we grow in, and it's the words we hear, the energy we absorb, the beliefs we adapt, either consciously or not. But if we're willing to get honest, if I am willing to get honest, to get ugly, I can rewrite it all. And I can start it here. So in my first episode, I shared how this podcast was born out of personal moment, unexpected. And today I want to take you deeper into the name My Ugly Hour and why it means so much more than catchy title to me. This episode is for the part of you that's always been told to keep quiet, to stay small, to hide your truth because it might make others uncomfortable. I want to speak directly to that part today. So tune in into the part and allow the part to listen. The one you might call ugly. The one you dread, the one you fear others to see or hear or feel or witness. And so it all started when the name came to me, and it really meant, I really mean it, it came to me. It wasn't something I brainstormed or planned. I never even thought that I'm going to have a podcast because I never thought I have enough to say, or what I say, it doesn't really going to make a difference. So the name dropped into me like a whisper from somewhere beyond logic. My ugly hour. I couldn't shake it. And so being me, I looked up the origin of the word ugly. I had to understand why it felt so true. It's just like, this is it. I knew like, this is it. It's something is going to come up out of this phrase, out of these three words. So after I looked it up, the word ugly, the root of ugly goes back to Old Norse world. I don't know how to say it. Ugly, it's Uggligr. If you know how to read it, please let me know. Which means something to be feared or dreaded. And when I read that, I felt like really lightning struck me. And because yes, our ugly isn't just what we don't like about ourselves. It's what we dread. It's what we fear. It's what we've learned to fear inside ourselves. The pieces we suppress, the parts we hide, deny, or try to control. The emotions, the desires, the memories, the dreams, we tuck away and cover it with shame. And suddenly I knew my ugly hour is not about surface level imperfection. It's about facing what we fear the most in ourselves, in our lineage, and in our truth. So when I started discovering and getting more curious about the honesty and the ugly, the journey led me into something I had never looked before, and it was transgenerational trauma. Such an interesting subject. And I had an opportunity to take a shadow work course, and it was one of the most intense experience I've had. In that space, I met someone who's Native American, and they shared that their family went through all the pain, the separation, the silence, and devastations of having their identity stripped from them. Where who you are, what you believe, how you look is not okay. It's not just not okay, it's bad, it's demonized. And I remember this feeling, this ache in my body, like I just woke up from this, I wouldn't call it even fog, such something thick dirt. And I knew those stories existed. I had read about them, but I heard them from someone who carries it in their body today. And it's hit me very differently. And just witnessing their experience, I felt ignorant, not in a shameful way, but in a way that it got me curious and made me question things, and not just about their past and their upbringing, but mine as well. Like, what was my family been through? What have my ancestors survived? What's in my bones? What's in my energetic field? What's in my blood, in my genes? And whatever you want to call it, it's there. And either it was given through blood or through words or stories. It was, I inherited it. And because I was born and raised in Lithuania, and I did not move to United States till I was 21, 22. So suddenly I was remembering the stories of how Lithuania was occupied by Russia, how people were punished for speaking their own language, how entire generations were taught to erase who they were in order to survive, how using your mother language, Lithuanian language, my identity or their identity was dangerous. It's not even was forbidden, it was dangerous. People were hiding in attics and learning Lithuanian language and reading Lithuanian books, because books were told to burn. Any books that was written in Lithuanian language were told to burn, to destroy. And this is not something that I've experienced. This is something I've learned at school. And I feel like maybe this kind of history is taught too early in age for kids to understand the impact of it. But now when I think and look back, I'm like, oh my God, I totally understand the impact that it had on me, and it hit me. Then I began to dig a little bit deeper. Other thing was Lithuania was one of the last pagan countries or cultures to be overtaken by Christianity. And it's not Lithuania was the last culture, pagan culture, to be overtaken. And I started reading about that and what it meant. And it's really heartbreaking how it all came about, how our spiritual beliefs were replaced, our rituals, our nature-based wisdom, our ceremonies, all labeled wrong, evil, and sinful. And I'm grateful that Lithuania kept quite a lot of pagan inspired, let's say, celebrations. And I even talked to my mom recently, and I asked her about some holidays or celebrations, and she's like, I don't know where it came from and what's the celebration. And I asked her some questions about it, and she's like, that probably be it. And she, because of just one country after another, one suppression after another, just how that was erased. And I started realizing how much of my own shame wasn't even mine. It was inherited, passed down through blood, through behavior, and through silence. How silence spoke volumes. It's how you have to be good. You have to stay quiet. Don't be too loud. Don't be too wild. Don't be too much. These weren't just cultural ideas, they were a survival mechanism, and I could feel them. I mean, I still do. That's why it just touched me. It got me teary. And I refuse to cut my podcast because it might not be polished. So I record what's come up, what I think. I have some notes to kind of stay on track. And if something different come up, I will express and share. So another story that is very interesting is related to when women started not trusting each other. And it's very interesting, and it's, if you read about witch stories, have you ever read about them? What's really historically what women were called witches? If you can remove your religious glasses off, your fear glasses off, and really just be curious, especially if you're a woman, if you have daughters, to read about witches and how patriarchy demonized women who were powerful. No, I'm not saying about magical or something, but women who wanted to make a difference, women who were independent, and women who came together. So in the stories, the women who were midwives, herbalists, spiritual leaders, healers, they all were called witches and brutally tortured. I'm going to try to speak about it, and I'll see if I can, or if I need a break. So many of these women were widows. So in those times, in 1600s, women's entire purpose was tied to a man. To marry a man, to raise children, to tend to home, to clean a home, to cook, and entirely rely on her husband. Financially, in any way, women were not, like, a woman was a property. So think about it. When a woman who doesn't own anything, when her husband passes away, and a woman was left with no social or economical power at all, She had no one to protect her, no access to resources, and no claim to property. What do you do? So those women started creating her own path, something separate from the government, because they don't want to take crumbs for whatever little bit government was giving them, and wanted to become self-reliant. So those women relied on land and on ancient knowledge, on community. And those women lived outside the bounds of what society at those times told them a woman should be. And of course, men didn't like it. They feared that independence, that power, that refusal to conform. So they labeled those women witches. They accused them of cursing crops, harming children, summoning evil, all of the any way to strip women's strength and autonomy, to bring her back under control. And the worst part, it's what came with that label. With a label came a torture. So I was reading different stories of inhumane torture of women, how different ways they tortured women for them to confess that they're witches. So imagine if you are, first what they would do, they would shave women, the whole body, to look for a freaking witch mark. And it can be a mole, a wart, a scar, anything they could come up with just to say like, okay, this is the witch mark. And the worst part is that most of the time they found these marks in their either women's privates or their mouth. So I don't want to even talk about details. If you're curious, just read about it. So imagine you're tied down and you're tortured. You're in pain and agony, and they're telling you that the torture will stop if you give us names of other witches. And there are no other witches. Like, you're tortured, but there are no names to tell because you're not a witch. You don't know any witches. This is just a label. And so you're in so much pain that you just have to come up with something, a names for that torture to stop. And so imagine so women were tortured until they named other women. They didn't want to, but they were in so much pain for so long that they were giving names of their family member, of their neighbor, and the neighbor and the family member, they don't know why their name was given. So there's immediate distrust. And the painful truth is there was often no name giving. There was no coven, no gathering, no secret spell. As it's like, oh, there's a witch gathering. But the pain was so overwhelming, the agony was so unbearable that women would say anything for the torture whatever the torturer wanted to hear, just for the pain for them to stop. And in that kind of pain, you're not in your mind. You're probably out of your body. I have no dissociating to just to make it through, to survive. So women were giving the names, as I mentioned, the neighbor, the friends and family, not because they wanted to betray them and make them suffer, but because they were forced into an impossible place where the only relief was compliance. And those false confessions, They created betrayal, distrust, a rupture between women that echoed and still echoing through generations. This too is part of our ugly. The way we learn not to trust each other, I'm talking to women, the way we compete, compare for men, the way we stay silent, the way we stay quiet, the way we have to stay looking certain way, the way we sometimes reject ourselves or fear other women's power. That's not a flaw in us. That's a wound. A belief that was passed down, and it was protected and hidden. But it's time to look at it, and it's to look at it with love, with compassion, and with clarity. Because when you do, I do, we do, we will find the gold inside. We will find a gold within each other and build the trust. Yes, I'm not telling you to just trust every woman you meet, but to really open up to possibilities. Yes, the trust can be earned, should be earned. Don't love word should, but and for anyone, it's not just women and men too. And I want to share a personal story about this that's related to women and trust. So for years, I believed I was good at connecting with women. I was a good friend. I was the loyal friend, the great listener. If you told me something, it stayed with me. So all my friends knew, if you tell Dava, it stays with me. Either I'm going to choose not to say it or I'm going to forget it. And I held other women's stories with care. And I thought that meant I trusted women. And a few years ago, during Women's Experiential Weekend, that's in 2023, with an organization called Women Within International, I had realization that really opened up my mind, opened up my eyes, and opened up my heart. During that weekend, I saw really clearly, with curiosity and some pain too, that while women trusted me, I really didn't trust them, because I never really shared anything personal with women. But I always took in and listened to them. I realized that I shared only surface level things, and I kept my real pain, my real fears locked away, tucked away. And that's when it really hit me. I realized on that weekend, I was here to learn something. I wanted to trust women, but I did not know how, what it means, how it feels, but I wanted to change that, and I knew I was in the right place. And that weekend changed everything. I experienced women holding me in my ugliest. They didn't judge. I didn't feel judged. They didn't turn away. And I was loved. They loved me, supported me. I felt so supported, so safe, so held, and seen, and heard. They truly, truly held space for me. And I share that a lot. I say that a lot in my posts. And I wanted to speak it, that this organization really holds a big piece in my heart.
So on my weekend, I realized these women are volunteers. So you have to even pay to volunteer because you get a place to sleep and they feed you. So obviously it's a nonprofit. So at least you pay for your stay there. And on that weekend, so staff is there for 4 days. So this take 3-4 days out of their life away from their families, from their children, their work, their jobs, their partners, and not for money. They don't get paid. And not for recognition, but to support other women. That's what really opened me up, and I wanted to offer the same. So as soon as opportunity happened, I volunteered to staff for the weekend. So after my weekend, I knew I had to give back. I've chosen to staff these women within weekends, and I'm planning to continue staffing because what I experienced, there was nothing short of magic. I saw what it meant to be surrounded by women who are powerful, clear, with strong boundaries, who can listen deeply, speak their truth, and love deeply, love fiercely, and be so kind. I never felt so safe in my life. And I realized how deeply I craved that kind of connection. I had to admit, I grew up hearing things like, you can't trust women. They will stab you in the back. Your best friends will hurt you the most. They're all snakes. And I really thought I didn't believe it. No one's ever hurt me. No woman ever really hurt me for me to believe those words. But subconsciously, I realized that I did. Deep down, those beliefs lived in me. And I finally chose to stop and reject them. I don't want to live in a fear or competition with women. I love when women are successful. I love when women are so confident. I look at it as it's not, I don't envy it. I feel inspired. I want that. I want to connect. I want to build relationships with women. I want to invite women into my life while standing in my power and holding strong boundaries. So women would stand up in their power. Women who are deeply sensitive like I am and own it. It's so much easier. It can be so exhausting when you tell yourself, I'm just so sensitive. And when just own it, I'm like, yeah, I'm freaking sensitive. And it's totally okay. And I don't want to, I didn't want to live this way anymore. And I want to change it. So I tend to say, well, what do I want? I want to connect with women. And that's the part of reclaiming my ugly. Healing the ways I've been taught to distrust other women. And I truly believe that our ugly is where our power lives. Yes, these parts held us survive as children, as teens, as young adults. They were necessary at some point, but not anymore. They got us where we are now, but now they're holding you back. They're holding me back. They're holding us back. They don't serve us the same way. Now they limit us. They keep us playing small, disconnected, fearful, and scared. What if your ugly is actually your map, your gold? What if everything you've been avoiding is the doorway to your realest, most powerful self? That's what this hour is about. Not fixing you, not changing you, but remembering you and reclaiming the beauty inside the parts we were told to hide. Not necessarily that you heard someone tell you that, but subconsciously. So I will leave you with these questions. What are the parts of you that you've been taught to dread or fear? Do you know where they come from? Are they even yours? Or were they passed to you like in silent inheritance? You don't have to have the answers today. You just need to ask yourself and get curious and do that with grace. Please give yourself grace. Because asking is how we begin to understand and reclaim and choose differently. Thanks for sitting with me in this ugly hour. There's so much more to uncover, and I'm looking forward to have guests as well. And trust me, there's gold in all of it. There's gold in all of you. You just have to own it. If this episode resonated with you and you are ready to dig deeper into your own story, I invite you to explore coaching. Through this work, I help women uncover the map of who they are, where they are now, where you are now, where you've been, and where you truly want to go. Not where the world expects you to go, not what you've been taught you should want, but really the real, authentic, honest vision of your soul that's been whispering to you, and you've been wanting to hear it, and you're wanting to make it bigger, and you wanted to make it life. Together we can peel back the layers and face that dread, face that fear, and create from truth, not the fear. If you're ready to begin that journey, if you want to own your ugly and find the gold in it, remember your power, and you want to remember your power, I'm here, and this is your invitation. I will see you next time.